Hello, I'm Diane from Derbyshire Wildlife Trust and this is Nature Tots at Home. Now today it's quite a damp day, it's been quite cool, and so it's the perfect day for looking for slugs and snails. Looking for slugs and snails is really easy, you just need to know where to look. So they both like to live in places that are cool, that they're damp and they're dark. So under rocks is a really good idea, under logs or plant pots in your garden, and also in and around the nooks and crannies in walls. We're going to see what we can find now. It might take a little while for our slugs and snails to come out and start moving for us, so while we're waiting we're going to have a story all about Norman the slug who desperately wanted to be a snail. Norman the slug thought snails were great. "Wow," said Norman, "look at them, they're amazing." They're making a big pyramid here. But unfortunately the snails didn't think Norman was great. Whee! Crash! "Norman, you silly slug," they cried, "you've spoilt our fun. This only works if you've got a shell." Norman felt left out. Sadly he skulked off into the moonlight. "If only I had a shell of my own," he sighed, looking at his reflection. And that's when he had an idea. "Maybe I could have a shell after all," he thought. But finding a shell was not as easy as it seemed. One was too bouncy. He's used a tennis ball. One was too noisy, the alarm clock, and one was already taken. Got a little worm living in it. Norman needed time to think. Ta-da! A shell. It was perfect. Norman had never been happier. He could join the snails at last. Norman loved being a snail, and the snails loved Norman's silly shell. But the fun didn't last for long. Suddenly there was a loud flapping of wings. "Look out! Bird!" cried the snails in panic. "Quick, slither for your lives or we'll end up as supper." But the bird was more interested in Norman's silly shell. It looked delicious. Norman was being carried up, up and away, higher and higher into the sky. What could he do? Norman did the only thing a slug could do. He made slime, lots and lots of it. With a slither and a slother, a slip and a slide, Norman was free. But he was falling faster and faster and faster until... plonk! "Norman, Norman, are you okay?" asked the snails. "Wow," said Norman, "that was great. I love flying. If only I had wings." Ta-da! So when you've found some slugs and snails, spend some time just watching them. They're really interesting creatures to watch. Our slug is actually quite active at the minute, but our snail isn't. Sometimes you have to be quite patient to wait for them to come out because slugs and snails are actually nocturnal creatures. And this means that they sleep in the day and they're active at night. So in the daytime you might need to be quite patient. You can always try and tempt them out with a little bit of cucumber because they really like to eat that. So if you watch what they're doing, have a watch how they're moving. Can you see the slug? It's got some antennae here. Try and work out what it's using them for as it moves. You might also be able to see the slime that it leaves behind that helps it move along. Our snail isn't very active, and I think all the patience in the world isn't going to help with this one, because when you look inside, it's closed off its shell entrance. And what snails do is in the winter when it's cold, they hibernate. And when they're doing this, they put a layer of slime over the door of the shell and let it go hard and dry. And then they hibernate or sleep for the winter until it's a little bit warmer and not quite so cold out. Watch them for a little while, and when you've finished, make sure you put them back somewhere that's cool and damp so that they're safe. And maybe if you've enjoyed having a good look at your slugs and snails, you could do some of our other activities. We've got a snail texture hunt that you can do. And you could make your own clay, slug or snail using natural materials to help you make them. All the activities and instructions for them are on our activity sheet. You just need to click the link to download it.